Now that we know the importance of UV maps, let's talk about how to create them. So to do that, I'm going to go to Create. I'm sorry, Windows, General Editors, Content Browser. And then here, I can navigate to, on the Examples tab, in the Modeling, and then Sculpting, Base Meshes. And then you can see there's a lot of kind of starting points that they give us, some different things that we can kind of practice with. So I'm going to go to the cat, and here's the cat. And I'm going to go ahead and drag the cat in the viewport. And when it comes in, you can see it looks gigantic. Okay, that's okay. I can hit F to frame in on it. And if I switch this, my workspace, to UV editing, okay, now I should get both the UV toolkit and the UV editor. You'll notice that nothing is in the UV editor until I click on the cat, and now I can see there's what the cat looks like laid out flat. And so this is we could say this is the answer key. This is what we want to end up with. And what I want to point out here is that there's logic behind how this is laid out. I could guess that, okay, this is the body of the cat. I could say that maybe this is the right arm, and this is the back leg, okay, and then the side of the tail. So this is the cat's right side, this is the cat's left side. So that means that if this was handed off to somebody that, like let's say a texture artist that was going to paint this, they would know, and they would make some sense out of it because of how you laid out the UVs. Okay, so, and obviously I want to show how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of mess this up. So I'm going to take this whole thing, and I'm just going to go up to UV, Planar Map, right here. Okay, and you can see it did something kind of weird, but I'm going to just move that off to the side. And basically what it did is it just kind of took a piece of paper and kind of stamped it down and looked at it from an angle, and that's kind of the result that it gave us. Okay, now that we can't really use that, but I'm just I did that to kind of sew everything back together and give us a clean starting point. So let's talk about this. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and cut the cat in half. So if I right click, go to edge mode, double click on this edge that goes all the way around the cat. Now I could go to here to cut and cut. Okay, great. Now we can see if that did anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, go to UV shell, and I can see that it looks like it didn't. Okay, so let me try that again. Double click on that, cut, cut. Okay, there we go. And I can see that it did because it looks like the line is a little bit thicker. So now let me go right click, UV shell, and there we go. Excellent. Now I can select that and I can move it away. Okay. Now notice it did not physically cut our 3D model. Okay. These pieces are still welded together. Like these faces, I can see that they're still connected. It's just that as far as the 2D version, it's kind of laid out like this. Okay. Now I could right click and go to face, and I could drag and select over all of these faces. And you can see that that selected all of this side. And now if I go to UV, planar map, or the planar, I'm going to go to the options. And if I reset this is how they are by default. And I want to switch this to best plane, and then also keep both of these checked. Now what that's going to do is that when I hit apply, it's going to figure out the best angle to lay this three-dimensional object, or the three-dimensional faces that we have selected, flat as possible. Okay, and I can see that that's what it did. And I could move, scale, or rotate this shape using my move, scale, and rotate. So W, E, or R. And I could scale it or move it. And what's going to happen is that every time I do a planar projection, every time I do one of those, it's going to go into this quadrant. So I'm just going to kind of move this out of the way. I'm going to think about everything else as my work area. Okay, so now I could select this face, UV planar map, It's automatically going to find the best angle to do that. Great. Now you can see that I've got a good start to laying out the cat flat. Okay, I'm going to continue this process. I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's check how we're doing. Okay, so we might say, well, maybe we're done right now. Okay, but if I put these checkers on, and what the checkers are is basically kind of showing how good it is, how good the resolution is. And right now, it's kind of hard to tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to checkers, and I'm going to go to, or I'm sorry, textures, checker map options. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to put this to something like 512 and hit apply. Okay, I might not see anything happen until I click on this. Okay, so this is going to show the texture, and this is going to show the checker. And now, okay, actually, let me change that. That's a little bit too small. Maybe I'll put it to 128. Notice these numbers. These are the numbers we were talking about earlier. Okay, so even we can see that those numbers are kind of coming back to haunt us all the time. Okay, and you can see that from the side, the cat looks good. But as it gets to the front, I can see that there's a lot of stretching on the checkers. And the goal is that the checkers are perfectly, you know, they look perfect like this throughout the cat from any angle. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next lessons, is we're going to be cutting up the cat enough that no matter what angle we look at it from, the checkers are going to remain perfect, okay? What does that mean? Well, let's say if we were painting this cat, let's say in Photoshop, and we're putting stripes on the cat, okay, like a tiger, for example. Well, we could paint those stripes, and they would look pretty good from the side. But as soon as I started like painting from the front, you could imagine if I was trying to paint his eyes, but I only had this to work from, I would have trouble kind of painting his eye with much detail, or even worse, like let's say I'm trying to paint the whiskers, or if I wanted to put like, I don't know, let's say a tattoo right here, okay? I don't know why he would have a tattoo there, but if he did, I would have a lot of trouble there. I mean, it would probably be impossible. And really what the checkers are doing is saying, hey, where it's most distorted, that's where you're going to have the most trouble painting in Photoshop, okay? The side is going to be easy, okay? And I can see that with the checkers, but when it starts to kind of wrap around this way, we're going to have trouble. So once again, our goal is to make sure that those checkers lay flat throughout the whole model. So I'll show you how to do that in the next lesson.